Okay, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Oh Lord, we pray for your blessings over these proceedings of this day 3 of the orientation. Amen. Let me start by saying welcome to everyone. Welcome to the students who are joining us, the incoming students for the PharmD, DDS, SMRT, BB Med-Sci, Physical Therapy, Nursing Program, MBBS, and others. We also welcome the families, parents, guardians, and so on who are attending. We welcome faculty and staff, especially those who are presenting today. And just a brief introduction about myself. My name is Dr. Paul Singh. I lecture in the Faculty of Basic Medical Sciences. I'm the head of the pharmacology section. And for the last 10 years, I was a BB Med-Sci program coordinator. There is now a new program coordinator, Dr. McCoy. So today, the BB Med-Sci program is hosting the orientation proceedings. I would just, at this point, like to say welcome to the students. And I want to say that we are in the midst of a lot of uncertainties, especially arising from COVID. And there's a letter that, that was sent to me, and I'm going to share the screen. And this to remind you guys that the vaccination blitz is, just want to see if you're seeing it now, that all incoming FMS students, that the vaccination blitz should have started yesterday, but it's going on today, okay? So please go to the Mona Aging and Wellness Center, which we used to, located what we call the old library, to the back, near to the post office road gate. You can go there and receive your vaccination. And please remember, all students who are applying and desirous of living on halls of residence must be vaccinated. There's no if and but about that. You have to be vaccinated. So make use of this opportunity, and please go there after this morning's proceedings are over. Now, students, I am sure that you're anxious to hear about the academic side of the program. But today we are into the 3rd day of the general information which we're presenting to everyone. Today we have presenters coming from a lot of different sections. The first speaker will be Dr. Chambers, who we talk about just into university life. And then we have other Dr. Moji Anderson should give a very interesting talk on culture matters in healthcare. And the exam section, we have Ms. Yannick Ross, who will be presenting there. We have the Billings and Receivable, Office of Student Financing, Medical Education and Science Information from the UWI Library, presenting Placement and Career Services, Critical Reading and Writing in Science and Technology and Medical Science. We're happy to see somebody there representing the course the Critical Reading and Writing Foundation course. And then there's a break, and then we're on to the vaccination blitz at 1 o'clock. So that's the lineup for everyone. I would, at this point, say that just to thank everyone for coming here, and to remind the presenters that you have approximately 10 minutes to present, except for the first presenter, Dr. Chambers. She's given a little bit extra time, 15 minutes. I would ask you guys to hold your questions, to put them in the chat box, and we're monitoring the questions. If there's time available, like if a speaker finishes early, we would be able to answer a question or two. Now, please be patient with us. We can't answer everything now. I know you'll have your questions, but these sections of the university, the administrative sections, are open to you, and it's very important that you deal with this thing as early as possible. You can't wait till the last minute to try to, just before exam, to sort out some financial matters. So I urge you guys to listen carefully to the presentations, and to make your notes and to act quickly upon them. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce the first speaker, who is Dr. Debbie Chambers. affectionately known as Dr. Debbie, and she's the head of the University Counseling Service. She's a counseling psychologist and certified poetry therapy practitioner. She and her team work to provide mental health care to students, staff, and staff dependents of the University of the West Indies, Mona. As part of the Mental Health Promotion Initiative on campus, she can be heard every first and last Wednesday of the month on News Talk 93 FM. Campus radio at 9:30 a.m. in the segment Mental Health and You with host Jeremy. So without any further ado, I will start now with invite the first presenter, Dr. Debbie Chambers, to share her message, her presentation on the Zoom platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Good morning, everybody. What a privilege it is to be the first presenter and to be given an extra 5 minutes to present. I would like to think that that is MedSci's understanding that there is no health without mental health, okay? And this year in particular, I'm seeing an increasing thrust to help students acknowledge the need to be healthy mentally and to take care of their mental health. So I'm happy to be with you, and I hope you can take even one thing away from today's presentation. That being said, I'll soon share my screen, but I just want to acknowledge that you've been through 3 days of presentations now. You probably went to general orientation. For some of you, probably things are more confusing now than they were when you first started. So I would like to invite you just to wherever you are seated, or if you're standing, just take a deep breath and give yourself some affirmation, knowing that wherever you are, whatever you're feeling, you're here and you're really trying your best. So I invite you now just to take a deep, deep breath. So breathing in and out. Good, you can do this, okay? So I'm gonna share my screen. And again, I loved the point that was raised in terms of having your notebook, so that if anything jumps out at you from what I'm saying so far today, just jot it down, maybe keep it with you for the year, see how it progresses. So the title of my talk, the formal title of my talk is Adjusting to University Life. I do this every year for MedSci, but I'm going to tell you the truth. There is an informal title of my talk, and it's this: Mouth Make for Talk. As I was thinking of you, I said, you know what? We are going to talk the things. So for those of you who are regional and international students, welcome to a Jamaican saying. We have mouth, so we are going to talk, right? So my hope is to give you tips on adjusting to the Faculty of Medical Sciences, UWI, from my perspective, having worked with several MedSci students in various departments. However, I know me wanna go talk, right? So I would love you to drop in the chat. I have my phone beside me. I see there are 82 of you online. I would love you to drop in the chat a few comments, and I welcome the faculty and staff to pay attention to the comments. Really, what is it like for you to begin your studies at FMS during a pandemic? What is it like? Is it exciting? Are you thinking, yeah, you're going to be on the front line? Is it scary? Is it a mix of feelings? I'm so curious about how you're feeling. And then the next question, and this is really important. And so again, I ask the faculty to pay keen attention to this one. What kind of social, emotional, educational support do you need from the faculty? Let's name our needs now and claim them. That's very important to mental health. Identifying your feelings and naming your needs. All right, so as I go throughout, if you see me glance down, it means I'm looking at the chat and I'm seeing what you're putting in, and I'll make reference to it from time to time. So I'll wait on you to put that in the chat. All right. So again, I'm going to share my experience of working with students in FMS, and I'm going to give you 6 tips to help with your adjustment. I'll probably also share tips from my own experience in undergraduate studies, although that was some decades ago. I think some things still very much apply. Okay, I see somebody, Jordan is saying, exciting yet nerve-wracking, and Sarita, mixed feelings. So thank you for acknowledging that. I hope that my tips will definitely help you. All right, so the first tip is this. Let's just start with radical acceptance. The truth is, and we all know this, your programs of study are intense ones. They are. Be patient with yourself. What I see often, at least here in the counseling center, is that sometimes the med students, whether nursing, pharmacy, MBBS, whatever it may be, students come in and they're used to being the top of their class. And so when they come into the program, the fact that it's intense begins to scare them. Like, how come I'm struggling? I don't usually struggle. No, it's okay. Struggle is a part of the process. And so I encourage you to be patient with yourself. So if you know that you're somebody and it's hard for you to be patient with yourself, just jot that down in your book. That will be your goal for the year. No, closely related to that. No, you're not losing your mind. Trust me. You're not less of a student than others. It's normal to feel overwhelmed. That's the second tip. And this one is really important. Sometimes I'll have students come into the office and say, Dr. Debbie, it's something wrong. Maybe I'm losing my mind. I just don't understand. I shouldn't be this overwhelmed. No, you're not losing your mind. That's the body's way of adjusting to something that's new. And that's your body's way of telling you you need to rest. And I'm going to pick up on that point too. Also, know that you're not less than anybody else. Some of you will be absolutely excellent at theory. Others of you will shine when it comes to clinical. Some of you will be absolutely fabulous at chemistry. Some of you loved chemistry at CAPE level, but when it comes to UE, it's like, what is? So it's okay, all right? It's normal to feel overwhelmed, and we're gonna talk about some things that we can do about it. So I'm looking at my chat again. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of nervous. It's going to be a challenge. Yes, Sarita, it will be, but you can do it. It's very frustrating because it's new. That's coming from Shivani. Yes, very much so. When we're facing new things, it can often be frustrating. So this is your opportunity to learn that about life now, that starting something new is likely to be frustrating. Even new things we've always wanted to do. Your frustration is not a signal that you're doing it wrong. Your frustration is not a signal that you're doing it wrong. So what's my next tip? So I've done already tell you, it's going to be intense, you're going to be overwhelmed. Okay, Dr. Debbie, but can you give us a tip, please? So despite the intensity or the overwhelm, listen to this. This is my mantra for the year. You're not a machine, stop grinding. And I mean this, especially for the med-sci students. You don't need to keep pushing. You're going to notice that a lot of other students around you will be talking about how they study all through the night and they stay up and they this and they that. And then you're going to feel like, well, I'm supposed to be doing that too. Rest is so important. When we're under stress and those the adrenaline and the cortisol starts kicking in our bodies, if we don't rest to reduce it, it's going to affect our productivity, it's going to affect our creativity, and it's going to affect our memory. If you go into an exam not rested, trust and believe you may blank out on the exam because the brain works that way to try to protect you. So rest. And you may be asking, well, what does that look like? Maybe closing your eyes for 10 minutes, or just as we started, taking a deep breath. It doesn't have to be, oh, but me can't afford to go all-inclusive on the North Coast during lockdown. No, it doesn't have to be about that. It can be simple things. Taking a 20-minute nap. You know, I recommend it to other students in other faculties that, you know what, after orientation day, just go in your bed and take a 20-minute nap, right? And that's resting. That's allowing things to sink in. That's allowing yourself to sift through and hold on to what you want and wake up refreshed to meet the task ahead. All right, I hope you're still with me. So here's another important tip. Let me just take a glance at the WhatsApps. I'm seeing Yes, stressed out due to registration. Malcolm, I've heard that from many students. It is very stressful because, as was mentioned, everything is new. You didn't have to go through this type of registration before, but you will get it. Your advisors will let you know what to do, and your cohort will also let you know what to do. So you will ease into it. All right, now here's another tip. You are deserving of good social support. Notice how me bold, good, because me I go talk the things, right? Mouth make the talk. Listen, not all social support is good. It's good, you know you're around people who are good for you. When you feel less confused, you feel clear about things, you feel good about yourself, and you feel like, you know what, I want to reach out more, you feel more productive. If you're around people and you tend to feel more confused, less productive, you start feel bad about yourself, like you're not good enough, that is not the social support that you deserve, okay? So I want you to hold on to that as you seek out peers and support throughout your academic life here at the Faculty of Medical Sciences. So let's see what else I have. Of course, I have to put this one in there, right? As we're wrapping up and winding down. The reality is that, I don't know how many of you knew, but we do have a university counseling service here at the University of the West Indies, Mona. As you may have heard, I'm head of unit. We have 4 psychologists and 1 psychiatrist, and we provide a whole host of services from individual counseling, which is all online now. We do it via Zoom or a platform called Doxy.me. We provide consultations, maybe one-off consultations, medication management, waivers for exams when appropriate, right? So if you're going through something really serious, you're having series of panic attacks before exams, maybe a family member has died. I hope that doesn't happen to anybody. Know that the university has things in place to take care of you. So just walk over to the health center, or walk over might be Zooming in online and find out about what is available to you. Now, when appropriate, if it's just that you never study for your exam, which, truth be told, we've all found ourselves there, no, we can't give you a waiver for that, okay? No matter how concerning it is to you. And we also have peer support providers. I just want to note to you that I have had the great privilege of working with students, some of whom enter university with a diagnosable mental illness, some of who discover in their studies that they have a mental illness. I've had the privilege of working with them, seeing them graduate and do very, very well. And for some that I've worked with, actually, their struggles with, let's say, depression or anxiety has helped them to be more empathic to their own patients, because they know what it is like to receive health care. So having a mental illness, to anybody out there who may have a diagnosed mental illness, does not stop you from doing well. Please reach out to us. Please let us know who you are so that we can best advocate for you. There are several ways to reach us, right? After I present, I'll drop some of this in the chat. But know, for example, one thing I'll point out is that we have a UWI Helps call line, a counseling line that you can call to speak to a trained counselor. And the number is 876-294-0042. Okay, so if you are seeing my screen, there's some numbers on the screen. If not, I should really also call out the others. We have a WhatsApp text appointment line. That's 876-856-5758, and our landline, 876-970-1992. Because we're only 4 counselors here for a huge university, we are only able to see students about once a month. But I have seen students use that once a month and do very well in terms of taking care of their mental health. And always look out for us when we're doing things on campus, such as workshops and various activities. And of course, you can hear me on News Talk 93 FM if you want a mental health tip for the month, okay? Also, to let you know that we are a safe space. So whoever you are, whatever your background, we are open and affirming to all students, regardless of gender orientation, sexual orientation, religious background, nationality, right? So we've been trained in being affirmative counselors, and we're here to support you as you make your way through university life. All right, so I done give you some tips. I hope that there was one thing that stood out. Let me just peep on the YouTube again. Somebody says, yes, they're seeing it. Great, because sometimes, you know, I don't know when I'm looking on the Zoom screen. That is Nicola. I'm glad to know. Here is a final tip. Okay, and this is very important because for some of you, you may find that as you're going through your courses, you have an idea of what a bright medical student is supposed to be, a bright nursing student, a bright pharmacy student. You may hear some negative thoughts in your head saying that maybe you're not good enough. We understand that some of our students have trauma background, experiencing emotional or verbal abuse. Unfortunately, we're a society, I should say we're a world where we don't always recognize that the things that we say to others have power, and sometimes that can stick in our heads, right? But the reality is the thoughts in your heads are not always correct. Do not believe them, especially the negative ones. Question the negative ones. Ask, well, what proof is there that I'm not as good as the other students? What proof is there that I'm not going to graduate? What proof is there that I'm going to fail this course? Okay, just question them. If the answer is, well, I haven't been studying for the whole semester, then it says a need in terms of a need to maybe change how you're approaching things. So given that the thoughts in our head are not always correct, I will leave you with this. If this is what you take away from my presentation, I'm very happy for that. Please, please, please be kind to yourself. You cannot be kind to others, especially those who you're going to treat as you go into clinical year, if you don't develop kindness to yourself. And Miss Semi, I got taught the things, right? As a person who's had family members in hospital, many of us fall into that category. The most wonderful nurses, doctors, pharmacists, physiotherapists that I've met are those that are kind, those that are understanding of the human predicament. In order to be kind, we must first develop kindness to ourselves. So I'm going to leave you with that. Please, please, as you go through this study, be kind to yourself. All right, so just a question, you can put it in the chat. I'll look for this. What's one thing that you'll take away from my presentation today? Looking forward to checking the chat and seeing the answers. Feel free to hail me up if you see me on campus. I'm Dr. Debbie. You might see me walking around taking a deep breath. That's my way of resting. We look forward to getting to know you all.
Right, let me thank Dr. Debbie for that excellent presentation, which we've been accustomed to over the years. I just want to remind you the takeaway message is that don't internalize your problems. You have people you can talk to at the University Health Center. There's an excellent team down there. Of course, you should also speak to your family members, who can advise you. Mom and dad always there. Pray to the Lord. And, there are different ways you can seek the solution. But please remember, we are here to care for you. We're here to serve you. And I would say don't hesitate, just go down there or try to contact, the health center by all these different phone lines and on the internet and so forth. Okay, so again, thanks very much. And please, there's a good question in the chat there. So we would, ask you guys to, start a dialogue with Dr. Debbie and others at the health center. Within the faculty, we also have some people called PPDO, Personal Professional Developmental Officers, and they also give some guidance. Now, let me proceed now. So thanks again to our first guest speaker, Dr. Debbie Ann Chambers. Now we move to the second speaker, Dr. Moji Anderson, who is an anthropologist qualitative health researcher and senior lecturer in the Department of Sociology, Psychology, and Social Work at the University of the West Indies, Mona. She conducts research and publishes in the areas of health, particularly chronic illnesses such as HIV, diabetes, and sickle cell disease, and sexualities and identities in Jamaica and the Caribbean diaspora. She is co-founder of Beyond Homophobia, the biennial UWI conference, and co-editor with Dr. Erin MacLeod of Beyond Homophobia, centering LGBTQ experiences in the Anglophone Caribbean, which is published in 2020 by the UWI Press. So without any further ado, let me welcome Dr. Moji Anderson to the platform. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everybody. It's great to be with you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me move over to my presentation and we shall begin. Hopefully you can see my first slide there that says culture matters in healthcare. I was going to introduce myself, but Dr. Singh did it beautifully, so I'm not going to bother repeat who I am. I'm just here to make sure that you guys, when you're thinking about practicing the skills you learn in healthcare, that you're thinking about culture and about how culture affects your interactions with your patients. So, oops, let me try to move my slide. Right, so you all are in med school, coming into med school, you've done all the sciences, so you've definitely seen a picture that looks a lot like this. This is that's a person according to the textbooks that you've seen. And also you see there's some pictures in the background talking about different systems. So this is when you think about a person, probably coming from your background, this is what you're thinking of. Fine, ain't nothing wrong with that. However, I'm an anthropologist. And so I'm always thinking about how culture is affecting us as human beings. And so I found this picture as well online and thought, let me slip this into my presentation, because what I'm trying to communicate with this picture that I found is that we're not just an individual body. We are affected by other things around us. Culture. So those multicolored lines I'm trying to suggest to you are aspects of culture. Because you see some questions around this figure here. And these are questions that are answered differently sometimes depending on the culture that you're actually a part of. So some of them are super basic questions that maybe you haven't really thought too hard about because they're so basic. But once you have insight into cultural variation and diversity, you come to realize that there are actually different answers to these questions depending on what cultural experience you're coming out of or that you're grounded in. So even a basic question like, am I sick? Depends on what culture you're coming from, what culture you're grounded in. What about, I just showed you that picture that you're very familiar with the organs and stuff. Not everybody in every culture believes that's how the organs are distributed in the body. What about the ability of organs to move? There are some cultures that believe that organs can move in the body that you might actually disagree with coming from the culture that you come from. What about a super basic question? Why am I sick? Again, your culture is going to determine the answer to that question. And then of course, very closely related to that is, how do I get better? What's the best treatment? So these questions, which might seem super basic and are super basic, and you might think that they're obvious answers for, well, actually, it really depends on your cultural grounding, how those questions are going to be answered. And so I'm suggesting to you that you need to be thinking about the fact that there are cultural variations in your context as a person in the Caribbean. So what I'm really saying is, and I wonder if anybody sees this as a 2D representation of a spike protein we're quite familiar with. But anyway, what I'm saying is that there are various cultures of health. Just as there are lots of different cultures in general, there are different cultures of health. And you'll see that I have some of these circles in yellow and some of these circles in green. And I invite you to think about what cultures these different elements belong to. So for example, if you look at the yellow, there are certain cultures of health that say that illness is caused by pathogens. So something that is in the environment and enters the body somehow and causes malfunction. So like I don't know, a virus. I'm not sure if you would have thought of any viruses lately, but maybe a virus. Bacteria, for example. There's a culture of health that says in order to know if the body is malfunctioning, if somebody is ill, we need to be able to measure, things. So for example, you might have like a blood pressure reading of 170 over 110. That's not falling within the required range. So that will mean, yes, there's a malfunction here, there's an illness here, and it needs to be treated. Kind of close to that is the idea that physical examination needs to be done. So there has to be some kind of sort of engagement with the physical body, like palpating or putting on a cuff or whatever it is, even checking excreta to see, again, is somebody well or is somebody ill? And then sometimes there might be recommendations for treatment that involve surgery. So invasive practices to be able to, for example, remove the offending pathogen, for example. So these are all things that I have coded in yellow. And this is a particular culture of health that says these are very important elements, not all the elements, but very important elements in trying to work out if somebody is ill or not ill, and thus what to do about it. So that's one culture of health. And I think that's the one that you're going to be learning about, importance of measurements and physical examinations, etc. That's the biomedical culture of health. We live in the Caribbean. There are many other ways of understanding health and illness. So for example, let's go to the green circles. Lots of people in the Caribbean believe that illness can be caused by duppy spirits. Lots of people believe that health complaints can actually be resolved through conflict resolution, by making sure that that person isn't angry with you anymore, by resolving social conflicts. Lots of people in the Caribbean believe that herbal remedies are the way to get better. And a lot of times this happens through the concoction of teas. Some of you may have had some Cerasee tea foisted upon you by your parents. Maybe, I don't know about now, but in the past, to get ready for back to school, right? There are healing properties believed to exist in teas, in herbs and bush and things. And a big part of that is taking these teas is to let off the gas, the famous gas, which can appear in pretty much any part of the body, right? And the tea will let it off. This is a very important understanding of health as well in the Caribbean. And we don't always need to have physical exams to know that something is wrong. If you have a religious specialist, so somebody who is trained in this, they can use the practices of divination, meaning they're going to be getting messages from the spirit world to tell them what is wrong with the person in front of them. So the green circles are referring to other cultures of health. So we have the biomedical on top in the yellow and other Caribbean understandings of health and illness in the green. And I think it's very important for us to understand that biomedicine in itself is a culture. That's something that we don't tend to think. We tend to think of it as kind of as just normal. That's just how things are. But really what you're going to find as you engage more and more and more with patients is that there are a whole other set of beliefs that you need to take on board. If I could just have you remember two things, like Dr. Debbie likes her take-home messages, I also like them too. When you're engaging with understandings of health that are not biomedical, think about a very impressive looking phrase here called spiritual temporal unity, which is supposed to mean that the spirit world and the world that we know of that we're living in physically can actually interact. And so that is why people will say, oh yeah, I'm sick because something that a duppy did to me, for example, because that means that an entity from the spirit world can actually act upon people, human beings. Similarly, I talked about divination. So that means that human beings can engage with the spirit world as well. They can travel to the spirit world, or they can communicate with spirits in order, again, to maintain health or to diagnose a health other. So that's one of the take-homes I want you to have in your head as you're engaging with healthcare and patients. And another one, the other very important one is herbal remedies, that you're going to have so many of your patients talking about the bush tea that they drank because that one is good for diabetes, that one is good for pressure, etc. And so you have to take that on board when you are thinking about what you'd want to be prescribing them in terms of what meaning prescriptions coming out of the biomedical understanding of health. So spiritual, temporal, unity, herbal remedies, these are very important elements of health beliefs in the region of the Caribbean. See, that's the Caribbean there in the picture. So far I've been extremely abstract, kind of conceptual, but I wanted to have a couple of actual issues, real life issues that I've heard about either from patients or from practitioners, just to get you kind of thinking. And since Dr. Debbie was so good about checking the chat, I don't have the chat anywhere near me, but actually I would quite like you to think about these 3 episodes I have here, and then maybe in the chat you could just give some ideas of what would you do if you were faced with any of these issues here. So I can't go into all of them in detail because time is limited. I only have 10 minutes, but there are 3 issues here. First of all, a patient says that she has what by medicine we call epilepsy, but what she calls doppelboxing, because her father, who is dead, was angry at her. That's one situation. Here's another one. Patient comes in for her x-ray and is told to strip down, and strips down, but leaves on a red measuring tape around her waist. And when you say to her, could you take that off, please? We need to get a good x-ray. She refuses. What do? Third one, a kid is on the ward, and her parents ask the pediatrician if an OB man could come onto the ward to help her get well. So I want you to think about these kind of issues, because some variation of this is gonna happen when you're practicing. And when you do think about how to deal with these issues, I want you to keep the words of the Hippocratic school tight in your brain. Either help or do not harm the patient. So for me, that means thinking about those 3 situations. You gotta listen to what the patient is saying. You gotta respect what the patient is saying. Doesn't mean you have to agree with what the patient is saying, but you gotta respect what the patient is saying, and then you gotta work together. You gotta collaborate to work out how you can solve the problem that has presented itself to you with this conflict between your biomedical beliefs and that person's health beliefs. And so maybe you listen to what the woman with the red measuring tape is telling you. She's telling you, I cannot take off that red measuring tape because my husband just died, and if I take off the tape, I won't have any protection against him and he'll have sex with me. Yes, her dead husband will have sex with her. So you hear that and you're like, You don't have to believe that that's true. That's not the issue here, but you have to respect the fact that she believes it's true. And you know that you're here to help, you're not here not to do any harm. You need to get that x-ray done. So what do? Collaborate. You work with her and say, okay, I hear you. You don't want to take that up. Let's see how we can satisfy my immediate aim, which of course is getting a clean x-ray, and your important aim, which is to not be a victim of your dead husband. So that could manifest in a variety of ways. Maybe you turn around the tape so that the metal isn't showing. I'm not really good at radiology, so I don't know if that would work. Maybe you say, okay, just hold the tape in your hand just for these few minutes for the x-ray. Maybe you say, okay, tape it around your thigh so it's still close to the kind of reproductive area, but it's not in the way of the x-ray. The point is, listen, respect, collaborate. And I think that's how you're gonna find that you can do the best for your patients, how you're gonna help them and you're certainly not gonna harm them. So again, my final points are, realize that you are coming from a particular culture, a biomedical culture. Realize that a lot of the people you're going to be seeing when you're in the real world as a healthcare practitioner are not of that culture and have their own beliefs. Listen to what they're saying, respect what they're saying, and collaborate to the greater aim, in service of the greater aim of making them well. And here's my email address. I would love to hear from you, moji.anderson@uemona.edu.jm. Dr. JM, sorry. And also, yes, if you want to go into the chat and put in some things, and I'll see how I can find that online, and then maybe we can have a little back and forth. So that's me. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks for listening, and all the best with your work.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moji. Thank you very much, Dr. Moji Anderson, for that interesting, I must say, about to say entertaining talk. But, there are a lot of takeaway messages from it. And I like your 3 words there: listen, respect, and collaborate. It's so important that you do these things. And just want to remind the public out there that, people throughout the Caribbean use a lot of these cultural practices and herbal remedies, for example, that we research actually in pharmacology. You mentioned Cerecy. I actually had a student who did a whole master's thesis in pharmacology in that plant. So, you know, the folklore medicine, the cultural practice and beliefs are there from, let's say, Barbados, Trinidad, Guyana, Jamaica, the Bahamas and so on. These are the areas that we've been researching plants from those areas. So thanks once again, and please, Dr. Moji left her email, Dr. Anderson left her email, so please contact her. Be free to email her with your questions. Now, so was the first two lectures was from what we call our guest lectures, to give you an overall situation as to coming into university life, the various things you might experience, adjusting and so forth. Now we get to the specifics of the administration here that is here to support you. We get into things like examination sections, UWI STAT, Office of Student Financing and so forth, right? So remember, before I introduce these people, that we are a service institution. We are here to serve you, okay? So bear that in mind. Don't hesitate. Come with your questions, come with your problems, and let us try to resolve these things. Now, the next presenter will be from the examination section. I must apologize to Mr. Tai, could not be here. So Ms. Ross, Yannick Ross, is going to present on behalf of and tell us about the examination section. Yannick, let me say welcome. I've known you over the years. I don't have like a big formal introduction. I'll ask you if you could please introduce yourself and then go on to what you have to say. And okay, please go ahead.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. My name is Yannick Ross. I am from the examination section and I am a senior secretary here. So I am involved in several of our processes at the examination section. So I'm going to share briefly with you some of our core functions and how we serve you, our very, very lovely customers. All right, so let's get into the presentation. All right, so we have three core functions, three core responsibilities here at the examination section. So there's the administration. We administer your examinations and we process your results as they come in from your faculty and or your department. So when your department sends your grades to the examination section, we upload them to your academic record. From that academic record, we process your transcript. Now, your transcript can either be the official transcript that is stamped and signed, or an unofficial transcript that's just a regular printout. And you also have access to this on your SAS profile as well. We are in charge of running the graduation, whether it is face-to-face or online. And this year it will be online also. Now let's move on to the administration of the examinations, right? So for this year, we learned that most of our exams will be happening face-to-face, and it's from that point of view that I'll be giving you the information from. Now, the examination process, it begins with registration, and I noticed in the YouTube chat that a lot of you were having frustrations with the registration process, but you guys will get the hang of it soon, right? So before you sit your exam, students are expected to be properly registered. So you have to be completely registered at the beginning of each semester in order for you to sit the exam. If there's no registration on the system for you, then when you go to your examination venues, you will not be allowed to enter the examination and sit it without proper registration. Now, moving on to our timetable. Now, I'm not sure if we have graduate students here in this audience, but for graduate students, the final timetable is usually posted on the examinations website. Now, usually the timetable for graduate students, it is updated periodically. And you have to go on the website to check to ensure that you are seeing the course that you registered for. And if you're not seeing the course that you have registered for, then you speak to your faculty. All right. And this is the website. The website address is there. That's where you go to find your timetable. For the undergraduate students, your timetable, it comes in 3 phases. There's a first draft. Now, when the first draft comes out, if you are on campus, you can check by the examinations notice board, or you can also check online. Now, when the first draft comes out, what you do, you check for clashes, and you check also to see if all of your courses, the courses that you registered for, if all of those courses are on the timetable. It's when the second draft comes out now, you check to see if the adjustments have been made. So you ensure that all of the courses that were missing, if any, that they are now on the timetable. And then the final timetable, when that is put out, that's pretty much set in stone. We don't move dates, we don't move around dates. When the final timetable comes out, usually make any requests that you have, usually make those when the first or second draft comes out. So once the final timetable is put on the notice board or online, it is pretty much set in stone. All right. So you check to ensure that all of the courses are there. That timetable is usually accompanied by an accommodation schedule. Now, the accommodation schedule, it displays the date, time, and location of the examination. And since most of the exams will now be face-to-face, this is going to be very important. So as not to waste time, so as not to show up as at place X when the exam is at place Y. All right, and as I stated before, it is usually placed on a notice board, or you may also have access to it online. Usually, an individual examination schedule is sent to your email. Now, this schedule usually has the courses that you're registered for, the date, venue, and the time of your examination, right? So if it is that you have no financial clearance, that is, you have not paid all your fees, or you're not on a financial plan with the university, then you will not be able to see this individual schedule. And if you show up to the examination room, you will not be able to sit your exam. So please, guys, check to ensure that you're properly registered, and also check to ensure that you're financially cleared before sitting the examination. On the day of the exam, so you should ensure that you have your UWI identification card, right? And those of you who need a calculator, it should be non-programmable. That is the one that's allowed in the examination room. You are asked to arrive 30 minutes before the examination has started. This is so that you can calm down, that you can relax, you can hear the instructions of your chief invigilators, that you can get all the information and just the relaxation that you need before the exam. All right. You're also encouraged to leave all unauthorized materials on the outside. We usually have a baggage area, and you put your bags there. However, we do not suggest that you leave your valuables inside of that bag, or whatever you may come to the examination room with. All right. Unauthorized material in the examination rooms, they include cell phones, pagers, iPads, tablets, books, paper of any kind, whether it's blank or you wrote down some concepts on no type of paper at all. All right. And as I said before, the calculators should be non-programmable, right? The ID, as I mentioned before, is essential. If it is that you leave your UWI, you can use any one of these, your driver's license, national ID, or passport. However, you will be charged a fee of $100 for each exam that you sit without your UWI. Now, you usually pay this, you can pay it after the examination section. After the examinations, you pay this at the bursary cashier, and then you take the receipt into the examination section so that we can lift the fine from your account. All right. I know I just said a mouthful, but we're going to move on to your results. And these results, you can find this in the assessment regulations on the examination website. So you don't have to hurry to write all of these off. You can actually go back later on and view these. So if you get an A+, for example, that means that the percentage would fall between 90 and 100%, and so on, as you guys can see here on the slide. Secondly, for undergraduate students, your results and GPA, they are calculated in this way. So A+ is equal to a 4.3 GPA, and so on. So as I said before, guys, this information is available on the examinations website. So you can go there to kind of acquaint yourself with these results. This is so important because the academic standing, if you have a grade point average of below 2.00 in semester 1, you'll be put on academic warning. And if you have 2 consecutive semesters of falling below this particular GPA, then you will be asked to withdraw from your program. So it is so important that you all maintain a GPA of 2.0 or above. If not, then you find yourself in academic trouble and they'll ask you to withdraw from your program, all right? So this is very important. Medical certificates. Now, as our first presenter mentioned, the university has facilities in which if you are sick, you may, and it's around examination time, you may visit the health center. They will write something up for you and send it to the examination section. Or 2, you may go to your personal doctor, have them write a note. That note you take to the health center and they will process it and send it to the examination section. So when it comes to us here at exams, what we do, we process it, send it off to your faculty, and we have your faculty approve it. Once it's approved and it comes back to the examination section, we put on an AM, that's an absent medical, on your record for the course that you'd miss because you were not well or you're having some difficulties. And this will not affect your GPA. You'll be able to sit the examination at the next available sitting without cost. However, if it's in semester 1 or 2. However, if it is in the summer semester, then you would have to pay the exam only fee. All right, I hope that was very clear. Now, sometimes when you do your examination, you are not necessarily happy with the results that you receive. Now, if that is so, you can go through our remark for that examination. Now, with the go through, you would have to have failed the course, and you will sit and go through the script or your paper with the lecturer. For the remark, it's different. For the remark, we send your script to an independent person and they would remark it and send the results back to us. The go-through requests are made online right here at this website here. When you complete it, you should get an automatic letter that you would take to your faculty or your department, and they will set up a date for you to go through the paper with your lecturer. All right. But it is important to note, guys, that a go-through does not change your grade. All right. For the remark, you go to the same place online and you make the request there. The remarks, though, attract a cost of $7,500. And if you fail the course, or whether you fail the course or not, you can make a request for a remark. When you make payment, the receipt must be submitted to the examination section in order for us to process your request. All right. All right. After the remark is done, the result is communicated with you guys through letters. So what we do, we send an email to you to say your results are ready, come in and collect your results. All right. Your grade may be lowered. Yes, after a remark, your grade may be lowered. It may stay the same or it may increase. If it increases, if it letter grade changes, for example, it changes from a B to an A, then you'll be refunded the $7,500. However, if it decreases or if it stays the same, you will not be refunded. All right. Just wrapping up everything. These are some of the reasons why you come to visit us at the examination section. 1, to report clashes on timetable, to query missing grades, to query remark, reviews, or go through, to request an official or an unofficial transcript, and any other examination related query that you may have. Thank you so much for listening. I really wish you all the best in the upcoming semester, and have fun as well as learn here at the university. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ross, for that very thorough, I must say, presentation. But it's important that we listen to what is said there, because we have to interact with the exam section. The bottom line, you want those good grades. You have to do your studies, but in addition to that, remember, exam is involved right from the start, right up to graduation, right? Remember, they handle the graduation ceremonies and so forth. So if you have any questions, please contact the examination sections. They're located in the central annex, if you will, the building downstairs near to SAS, right? So you should be able to locate them and to ask questions. Of course, they have telephone lines and email addresses, so you can contact them. So if you have any questions, I'll ask you if you could please email the examination section. Would that be fine, Ms. Ross? Or they just email the exam section and bring up these questions with you. So thanks again for that really detailed presentation. And without any further ado, let me proceed quickly. Let me say that the program has been adjusted somewhat. I'm aware we're running a little late in terms of time, but it's important that we get the information out to you, okay, in a clear and thorough way. So we now move on to UWI STAT. And in this presentation, we have 2 students who will be presenting a joint presentation, Shanique S.D. Campbell and Jewel Robinson, who are students doing MBBS and also and LLB, the law degree, respectively. Now, Shanique serves as the Director of Marketing Communications with UWI. Mona Gill, Vice President of Services and Special Projects Committee, Project Manager for the UWI Mona Gill Public Relations Committee, and Deputy Vice Principal of Communications and Internal Relations for the UWI Student Today, Alumni Tomorrow, which is STAT. Vice Chancellor's Ambassadorial Corps. Now, within UWI STAT, she was awarded the President's Rising Star Award by 2021 President James Spear, and was the captain of the winning Ambassadors Designates Project Team, the first choice ADs. Since her tenure as Deputy VP began, she has been named Ambassador of the Month for the month of July. Now, her involvement also, just appointed apart from university life, she's an active member of the Family of God Seventh-day Adventist Church. She serves as Technical Team Director, Secretary for the Adventist Youth Society. So she says she seeks to draw others closer to Christ while trying to her best to maintain and improve her relationship with Him. Now, Joel, just a quick comment here on Joel. Within the university, Joel has served as the Deputy External Affairs Chairperson of the Elsa Leo Riney Hall and as Project Manager for the Guild External Affairs Committee. She has also been a passionate for debating and served as the Publications Chairperson for the UWI Debating and Public Speaking Society. Within her first year at the university, Joelle Robinson is currently the Deputy Vice President of Programming and Volunteerism, where she serves with honor and dignity in our core by planning outreach activities and raising awareness on reproductive health issues that are prominent within the Caribbean. Another point about Joelle is that she's a proud business owner of Joelle Dynasty Cosmetics. And just to point out that where she provides self-defense materials versus cosmetics to make women feel more safe in the world today while empowering them to own their style. And I must compliment her on this entrepreneurship activity that she's doing there. Joelle enjoys serving others and giving back to her community, as she often spends her time in volunteerism, even outside the university space. So we see two people here from the Guild, two students coming to address you. And I pay careful attention to the message. It's an interesting message. I see points here like volunteerism and the different activities of the Guild, which we'll probably be talking about. So welcome again, Shanique, welcome, Joelle. The floor is over to you guys.
Hi, good morning.
So we just want to start off by saying congratulations to being accepted into the University of the West Indies. Give yourselves a round of applause because it is a tremendous honor to be a part of this university, and I knew it would have taken dedication, effort, and sacrifice to get you here. And it's worth celebrating because you're on a journey to becoming the person who you want to be, whether that is a doctor, whether that is a dentist, or that is a pharmacologist. And it's a beautiful experience that we wholeheartedly want you to embrace.
Yes, I must convey my congratulations also to my class, the class of 2026. I'm a first-year student in the MBBS program, as I stated. So UWI STAT, as I said before, Joel and I are deputy vice presidents. UWI STAT, you're probably wondering what that is. UWI STAT expands to UWI students today, alumni tomorrow, and we are the Vice Chancellor's ambassadorial corps on all 5 UWI campuses, namely the Mona campus, of course, St. Augustine, Cave Hill, Open Campus, and recently the 5 Islands campus in Antigua. Now, the corps started on January 23rd, 2006, after being conceptualized by Mrs. Celia Davidson Francis, the Director of Alumni Relations within the Institutional Advancement Division, over by the UWI Regional Headquarters. And she brought the idea to E. Nigel Harris, who was the Vice Chancellor at the time, and also the Guild Presidents. It was 3 Guild Presidents at that time because, of course, 5 Islands was not in existence as yet, and they all bought into the idea. They all loved it, and so we are now here as UWI STAT ambassadors. I must mention that one of those Guild presidents, one of the first presidents for UWI STAT, was our very own Minister Floyd Green.
So there are about 8 committees on the UWI STAT core. You have programming and volunteerism, which is my portfolio.
I have communication and internal relations, which is my portfolio.
You have alumni relations,
Finance,
CARICOM,
and of course you have disaster mitigation and climate change,
as well as membership.
And we must never forget the Western Jamaica campus.
Yes. So we're going to talk a little bit about each of the committees, and I'm going to talk about programming and volunteerism. Now, programming and volunteerism, as UWI STAT, as a core, we believe that we are nothing if we don't impact the persons around us and if we don't give back. So the Programming and Volunteerism Committee ensures that we raise awareness to social issues and also give back to our community through volunteerism and through helping others.
Okay. Well, communication and internal relations, as you said in the name. So we are the communicative arm of the core. So all correspondences that the core has, we have to do it. All graphics that are made in promotion, for promotion, we also make that. Joel, how about you speak about alumni relations?
Okay, so alumni relations begins as a student. It begins with Pelican Pride. You don't become, when you become an alumni, if you don't have Pelican Pride, then you won't be able to give back to the students that are currently enrolled at the time. So what the alumni relations portfolio does is ensure that we endorse Pelican Pride and the love for your university, so that when you leave as a student and become an alumni, that you also give back as in the same way that you have received from alumni when you are a student.
Great. And now we move to my second favorite committee, the CARICOM Relations Committee. And this committee deals with fostering regional integration. See, of course, we're a regional university and a regional core. So this committee deals with all of that. And its flagship program is the Carrier Pen Pal Com. Maybe some of you have heard about it before, but this program connects persons across the region. There are persons within the USTAT Monaco who they have friends in each and every CARICOM country through this program.
So the next portfolio is the membership portfolio, which is one of my personal favorites. The membership portfolio ensures the excellence of the core because it holds us as a standard as ambassadors, that we walk with dignity and respect as students of the University of the West Indies, because it is a prestigious university. We are trained to be leaders and change makers. We have to have a GPA of over 3.0, and you want to be in an environment that pushes you to grow and pushes you to be your best, and the membership portfolio ensures that we do that.
Great. And now we move to the Western Jamaica campus. So yes, we have an arm for our brothers and sisters on the West. This portfolio deals with all of their affairs. So we're one core, of course, but they have their own part of the USTAT Mona core deal with their affairs.
So we have the disaster mitigation and climate change portfolio. Now, it's very important, especially as a regional core and especially in the Caribbean, that we focus and bring awareness to all of these different issues like social, like climate change, because we are so heavily impacted by these things and we're so vulnerable to disasters. I can see earthquakes, hurricanes, flood, so climate change or in sea levels. And it's important for us to play a part in creating change and building awareness. So that's what the disaster mitigation and climate change portfolio is all about. You can talk about finance, Shani.
Yes, and lastly, but definitely not least, finance. So in every organization, you need that monetary arm that deals with all the cash flow and all of that. Finance is that portfolio. So they deal with budgets. So the vice president of finance, he creates, well, currently he's a male. So yes, he creates all the budgets for the year. If any portfolio needs any money, we have to go to him. I think finance is pretty straightforward, so I don't have to spend too much time on that. But Joel, why don't you tell the students why you joined UWI STAT and what you have learned so far?
I just want to add one thing about finance. It's also important to know that through the support of the Footprints campaign, we give back to
how could I forget?
And it helps students like you. So you should definitely support the campaign when you see it around. And don't forget to follow the UWI Mona page so that you are aware of everything that is going on. So why did I join UWI STAT? I actually, serendipity thing. UWI just landed on, and I'm so glad that I joined UWI STAT. I honestly love because we are a family. From day one, we were told that this is the family business, and trust me, these people are some of the purest, humblest people that you will meet, and they're just great people, and they help you to grow. Everyone is on a ladder going up, and they're reaching down, holding their hand out so that you can go up, and they push you out of your comfort zone, and they're just vibesy people, and they're people who are about change, and it's just a great place to be. If you're not at UWI STAT, you missed out.
I can attest to that. I joined UWI STAT in my first year as a SciTech student, and I'm telling you, it's one of the best experiences. Many of the friends, the solid UWI friendships I have right now are from UWI STAT. So people, please join the family business. We could only give you a snippet of the information here, but as Joel said, we have our Instagram pages. You may follow at UWI_Mona on Instagram and Twitter, and just take a look, do your research. We are accepting applications. The application period has been extended until September 9th, and the application link is in the bio. I must thank the Faculty of Medical Sciences for inviting us to share our love. UWI STAT is our love with you guys. So we hope to see your applications within the coming days. Thank you again.
Thank you so very much, and have a good day, everyone. And a great
Shani, thanks, Joel, for that nice explanation of the activities of UWI STAT. And we want to encourage people to join UWI STAT. And please remember the deadline is September the 9th. Applications are still open. So I encourage you to get involved with the activities of the Guild and various other things that you would see on campus. So thanks again. It's good to see student presenters, be part of one big community here at UWI. It's just staff like myself, it's students, it's ancillary staff, it's people from admin, and so on, academic staff, and so on and so forth, right? So let's move on in the interest of time to the Office of Student Financing. The Ms. Shana Hastings, the manager of OSF, is here to talk. So what I would ask her to do is just give a brief background information about herself and then go into the functions. And I know financial problems are a big issue. I've seen students as program director come to me, and that would affect their performance. There's no if and but about that. So they need to organize themselves, and we're here to assist you. We're here to provide some assistance, and that's OSF. I hand over to you now to explain all these different functions, features of the OSF. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you. Professor Minerva Team, Dean, Faculty of Medical Sciences, Dr. Theon Jones, Director, School of Dentistry, Dr. Paul Singh, Chairperson, other members of faculty, guest speakers, colleagues, other persons online, and most importantly, our students. Good morning to you. It is indeed an honor to share with you this morning, and I hope the information will be exactly what is needed to assist with your plans for financing your education. As Dr. Singh stated, I am Shana Hastings Edward, and I manage the Office of Student Financing, which is the UWI Mona's undergraduate financial aid office. A little about myself: I hold an MBA in Banking and Finance from the Mona School of Business and Management and a bachelor's degree in Economics with a minor in Accounting. I am a fellow member of Association of Chartered Certified Accountants and a fellow chartered accountant with our local body, ICAJ. I am the current treasurer of the Union, West Indies Group of University Teachers Jamaica, and most importantly, I am a mentor. Now, the Office of Student Financing will play a very important in your life if you're an undergraduate student. We administer scholarships and bursaries, grants for meals, books, and travel. We ensure that we are flexible. So depending on what the needs are, these scholarships, bursaries, and grants that we administer are altered in order to suit the situation. And I'll expand more on that. We also administer the PAT bursary. We administer federal student aid. We have a very special fund, which is called the Student Academic Enrichment Fund. We liaise with the Students' Loan Bureau on behalf of our students. And most importantly, we make ourselves available to assist students with their financial planning throughout their journey here at the UWI. Now let's talk about scholarships and bursaries. Each year, our application period is April to June, April 1st to June 30th. We have adjusted because of the pandemic. Last academic year, we were asked by our students to extend the application deadline because of the issues that they would have had in terms of submitting their forms. It is still currently a manual process to submit your physical application form to the campus. And so those adjustments were made. We came again in 2020, 2021, and the application deadline for scholarships and bursaries was extended to August 27. Now, I know there are persons online who will be saying you were issued an offer late, so you would not have had time to submit an application within that period, or maybe based on the different periods of lockdown, you are not able to submit an application. We will still accept your application this year because we are aware of the circumstances, and our aim is to ensure that every student who wants to submit an application has the opportunity to do so. For most of our scholarships and bursaries, there will be an interview process. So students submit their applications to the Office of Student Financing. We will update our records and students are contacted via email when they're shortlisted for interviews. If we do not receive a response to the emails which we send to students, then they will be contacted by telephone. The interview is a very simple process. All it requires is that you dress up and show up with the intention to be honest and to disclose to our donors information about yourself that will allow them to understand who you are, what your financial situation is, and what your needs are so that you can be assisted. That is the most important thing, and that is the key to accessing an award. Now, for students who have already submitted applications, you may have already received your acknowledgements to saying that the Office of Student Financing has received your form. If you have not yet received your acknowledgement, fret not, you will receive it by the first week of September, as we're currently updating the remaining forms in our database. Now, once you participate in an interview within 24 hours, a notification will be sent to all the students who participated, indicating who was the awardee, and the students who were not awarded will be advised that their applications will still be considered for other awards for which they may be eligible. All interviews are online. There are no face-to-face interviews, and students are able to research about their donors online before coming to the interviews, or they're able to contact the Office of Student Financing for additional information. And I will share our contact information a little further. Now, scholarships and bursaries are funded by the university as well as by external donors, both local donors, overseas donors, and it is individuals as well as entities that funds these scholarships and bursaries. Therefore, it means that there is specific criteria because students will ask, can I not be considered for X scholarship or X bursary? But you must meet the criteria. Some donors will specify the parish that the students must be from. Some will specify the high school that they want to assist. The key is that we have students to suit these criteria, and we want you to apply so that you can be assisted and so that our donors can also feel satisfied. In terms of grants for books, meals, travel, and other expenses, this is an online application process. Once a student log into SAS, that is the system where you will see the payments that you have made, the registration of courses, there is also a tab there that says OSF Financial Assistance. So once you have registered for the semester or for the academic year, you have paid your miscellaneous fees, you know that you're going to have a challenge with books, travel, etc. because of your situation. You log into SAS, you click on that OSF Financial Assistance tab, and you apply for aid. It is very important that you answer the questions in full, and where it asks for your expression of need, it is very important that you outline your situation so that a proper decision can be taken. Historically, we have been able to assist all the students. Well, I will say for last academic year, especially all the students who would have applied via that medium, we would have been able to assist them, because if they were not, if they hadn't met the criteria when they applied at the end of the year, or I should say in second semester, we would have reviewed all of those applications that were not previously awarded, and whether through our own funds or through partnership with external entities, we would have been able to award those students. So the key here is that you must apply. You must apply, you must apply to be considered. Now, the Office of Student Financing also administers the PATH bursary on behalf of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. Application for PATH bursaries open August 1st each year and traditionally closes September 30th. However, if students are still seeking to submit applications after September 30th, the Ministry of Labor would normally give permission for us to continue accepting applications. Last academic year, we were able to accept applications up to the last working day of October. Now, whilst it is very good, we encourage you not to wait. Students will submit their applications the last working day of October, and yet they were hoping for the PAD funds to assist with their semester one fees. That would not be possible because PAD is processing the applications for all schools in Jamaica. So the earlier the institution is able to submit the applications to PAD for approval, then the earlier our students can receive responses and can then incorporate the PAD funds into your plans for financing your education. Now, persons who are in first year, which should be most of you online this morning, if you would have been accessing PATH through your community office, you should no longer do so. Once you're here at the UWI or any tertiary institution, you must submit your PATH bursary application to the institution, right? The PATH bursary form is found on the Office of Student Financing website. Now I'm going to share the website information now, and I will repeat it once more before I complete my presentation. Our website is mona.uwi.edu/OSF. mona.uwi.edu/OSF. Now, once you access our website, you will be able to peruse scholarships and bursaries that we offer and all the other types of assistance that we offer. Now, in terms of PATH, once you log on to our website, you will see a tab saying Home, one saying Financial Aid, and one saying Resources. The PATH bursary is found under the Resources tab. Under that Resources tab, you will be able to access the application form and all instructions for the bursary is there. I repeat, if you are just starting, you're in first year, you must log on to the Office of Student Financing's website, generate the PATH application form, complete, and submit to the Office of Student Financing using the instructions that you're seeing on our page. If a student is in second to fifth year and you're applying for the PATH bursary, your grade point average for the prior academic year must be 2.5 or higher. We have had students who have had 2.47 GPA and we have submitted the applications to pass, they are never approved. Your GPA for the previous academic year must be 2.5 or higher to be eligible to continue on the path bursary each academic year. Now, the UWI MONA is unique in that we have a special form of loan that we administer. It's called Federal Student Aid. And under Federal Student Aid, we administer loans to American citizens and eligible American citizens. Now, this loan is funded by the United States Government Department of Education. So a student who fits that criteria is able to apply online for Federal Student Aid. You apply to the federal government, your application is processed and sent through to the MONA campus in a queue where we access your information. And once we assess and everything is in line with what is required, for example, forgive me now, I say I should not have mentioned, it is not for Faculty of Medical Sciences students, and I must make that very clear, and that is the point I have here. Most of the students who have reached out thus far are students who want to pursue areas of medicine, and for the future, we hope that the Faculty of Medical Sciences will be a part of that program. However, for now, you're in the Faculty of Medical Sciences. You may hear about Federal Student Aid from persons in other faculties, but currently it's not for students in the Faculty of Medical Sciences. If and when it becomes available for students in the Faculty of Medical Sciences, then the notices will be sent out to students directly as well as through the faculty, and it will be published on the Office of Student Financing's website. Now, we're in a pandemic, so persons are not able to travel. However, we hope that with everything that is happening, eventually things will normalize and persons may be able to travel to conferences and seminars overseas. The Office of Student Financing administers Student Academic Enrichment Fund. It is a fund for students in final year who wish to attend or participate in conferences overseas. We have had many medical sciences students who have benefited from this fund over the years. And even though it is for final year students, through special requests from the dean, we have always included students who are doing MBBS and DDS in their 4th year, not just their 5th year. That is because at year 3, you would have been pinned. And so in 4th year, if you have a conference that would be to your benefit and the benefit of the university, then you could seek funding through applying for the Student Academic Enrichment Fund. Many of our students fund their education through the Students' Loan Bureau. Students may have challenges and we encourage them to reach out to us so that we liaise with the Students' Loan Bureau on their behalf. We also have instances where students access the student's loan. For example, if you're a sponsored student where your tuition is under $700,000, if you take a student's loan, it would cover your tuition in full. Simultaneously, you may have applied for scholarships and bursaries and been awarded. Now, if you receive a scholarship or bursary that is $100,000 or more, you are required to decide if you want to have your student's loan reduced or if you want to keep the scholarship and bursary along with your student's loan. Whatever your decision is, you must apply for permission from the Students' Loan Bureau. So you would write your letter or complete your form as indicated on our website, and you would submit it to the Office of Student Financing. Now, if you want to reduce the amount that you're borrowing, then you want a tuition adjustment, and you would complete that form, which is on our website, mona.uwi.edu/OSF under the Students' Loan Bureau Resources tab. You would download, complete that form and submit it to us. Or if you want to keep the scholarship along with the student's loan, you would be required to write to the student's loan and to explain to them why you need to keep the scholarship along with the funds from the student's loan. That letter you would also submit to the Office of Student Financing, and we submit to the Students' Loan Bureau on behalf of all our students. The Students' Loan Bureau has a process where individuals are able to access granting aid. Now, this is typically an automatic process where once you apply to the Students' Loan Bureau, the system will determine if you're awarded granting aid. We have had many students over the years who the system may not have awarded them a granting aid, but based on their particular circumstance, they really are in need of that additional $50,000 that the student's loan has available for them, and that they would not need to repay. A student in that position is asked to write a letter to the Student Loan Bureau indicating that they were not awarded the granting aid and outline the need that they have, and submit that letter to Office of Student Financing. And we will also liaise with you to have a discussion to say what is the need and just to verify the information. And then we submit a letter of support to the Students' Loan Bureau on your behalf. Since my tenure here in 2016, I have never seen a request denied. So I encourage you, if your tuition is not fully paid after you have taken the student's loan, or if you're having other challenges relating to school, you're taking a student's loan, but you were not awarded the granting aid, then we encourage you to submit that letter to us. We'll have a conversation with you so that we can see how best to assist you with that process. Now, those are the key areas that are administered and managed through the Office of Student Financing. We're always here to assist. If you are trying to fund your education, for example, I am aware that the full fee paying program, is significantly higher than the sponsored program, and many of our students will say, how can I afford it? How can our parents afford it? What are some of the scenarios that we can use to fund our fees? Now, for those of you who would have already been aware of the process, there is something called the Jamaica Values and Attitudes Program. In preparing for this presentation, I did look online to see if the application period was still open. I'm not seeing it open. However, I will verify with the ministry, because there are times when, based on what is happening, students may be able to access that program after the initial deadline communicated. Now, the Jamaica Values and Attitudes Program, even if you're not using it this year, put it on your list of things for next year. You are able to apply through the Ministry of Education. Once they accept you into that program, students will do 200 hours of community service, and the ministry will pay 30% of your tuition, or a maximum of $350,000. You are also able to apply for a student's loan. Now, the targeted loan, which is a regular loan that a student can apply for that will not be due for repayment on. Just to say, I'm seeing the questions in the chat, and as soon as I've addressed it, then I will respond. Okay. The targeted loan gives $1 million to students. And if you have that $1 million, you can access it every year for your 5 years of medical school. There's a moratorium period, which was traditionally 6 months. I'm advised that it was increased to, I think it's up to a year, that you do not need to start repaying until after you have completed your program. So when you have completed your program, there's a moratorium period of up to a year, I believe it is, and then that is when you need to start repaying. Now, that's $1 million from your full fee cost. There is also a pay as you study loan that the Student Loan Bureau offers. Now, if you have someone who is able to take that loan, parent, guardian, uncle, aunt, anyone, godparent, who is willing to take that second loan of $1 million on your behalf and pay it while you're in school, then that additional $1 million can be accessed. You have various scholarships and bursaries. I had mentioned earlier that traditionally the application deadline is June 30th. For this year, it was extended to August 27th. And because of the lockdown and knowing the situation that our students are in currently, we will accept your application if you wish to submit now for consideration. All it means is that if we have already awarded a scholarship, you will not be considered for that one. But for all the others that would be available, you will be considered. We have some specific scholarships. Once you go onto the Office of Student Financing website and you click on the Faculty of Medical Sciences tab, you can see the ones that you would be eligible for. We have 2 new awards on stream. We have the Dr. Denise Mitchell Twade Scholar Award, which is going to be $1 million, and it's for a female doing the MBBS program. The intention of the donor is that once you're awarded this year and you meet all the criteria, you'll be funded the $1 million for the full 5 years. So get onto our website. We also have the Dr. Merrill Grant Scholarship that is on our website, and several others that may not be as high in value. However, they will assist towards your funding. We have the IGL Scholarship. The IGL Scholarship is for students who are in the sponsored program. So your tuition is under $700,000 per year. Now, each year, a number of students are interviewed by IGL and the university panel combined, and they will award 2 students full fees for the medical sciences program. And that scholarship is going to take you through all the 5 years as long as you meet the criteria. So there are several scholarships that you can apply for. And as I said, we are allowing students to apply for those scholarships and bursaries now. We're not leaving out the nurses, it's the same thing, and the other persons in the Faculty of Medical Sciences. So get onto our website and look at those awards. DDS, I know there's a UWI AA today, September 1st. There are 4 awards. I believe that today is the deadline for those scholarships and bursaries application to be submitted. So if you have not gone online, get online and peruse the website to see what is applicable to you. Now I'm seeing 2 questions in the chat. A student has asked, how soon will persons who applied for bursaries know whether or not they have been accepted? Now, this is a process. So we have the interviews, and they will run from this week up to mid-October. And as soon as an interview is held and the students are awarded, we advise the students. I see something about the 50% bursary. Unfortunately, as announced in the town hall with Principal Weber recently, there will be no 50% bursary this year. The students who may have expressed interest, you will receive your individual responses to your application within the next week. So I hope it has been helpful. And if there are any questions that are unanswered, I'm available to respond, or the faculty can send them to us. We will respond and they can be shared broadly with your students. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much.
I hope it has been helpful.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hastings, for detailing all the financial aid and assistance and scholarships and so on that are available to help people, especially the PATH program for Jamaican students. I want to say that in my experience, there are some people who still haven't gone to university, don't really fully use the resources within the university. And this here, coming into university, asking, how am I going to finance? How am I going to pay all these fees? Parents and students, the Office of Student Financing is there to assist. Make use of these facilities, of these resources. Remember, ask and it shall be given you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. Please use these resources. All right, let me go on now to a presentation from Medical Education and Health and Science Information. This is the UWI Mona Library, and the presenters are Miss Tereza Richards, the Senior Librarian, who is she pardoned for saying her name is a legend when it comes to librarianship, and yes, popularity throughout the whole campus, and ably assisted by Miss Elaine Saunches, who's the library assistant. Please remember, students, the resources are there. whether it's face-to-face or online, as Ms. Richards is going to expound now. So welcome again to you both, and the platform is open for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your kind welcome. And let me add a welcome to all the new students who are joining us at the UWI Mona campus. On behalf of those of us here at the Medical Branch Library, and also on behalf of our campus librarian, Dr. Paulette Carr, I have with me here today Ms. Elaine Saunches, who is our replacement information literacy librarian. Those of you who are familiar with Mrs. McCoy Johnson, she is off on a year sabbatical, and so we have a replacement in Miss Elaine Saunches. So a little bit about the Medical Branch Library. First of all, we are part of the UWI Mona Library System. So we are not an autonomous library. The UWI Mona Library System consists of the main library, the medical branch, the science branch, the law branch, and the Western Jamaica campus branch. So we are part of a library system. And as I said before, we are administered by the Mona campus librarian. She's in charge of the Mona library system. So I see to the day-to-day running of the medical branch, but we are part of the library system. So when are we open? When can you find us? And I'll speak a little bit about how things have changed as a result of COVID. In fact, until further advice and until things return to some kind of normality, we are now open Monday to Friday only from 8:30 to 4 p.m., closed on Saturdays, Sundays, and public holidays. But I will pause to say, prior to COVID, we were open and very much responsive to our students' needs. So we were open 22 hours per day. We were open Monday to Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 6 a.m. the following morning. On Saturdays, we were open from 8:30 until midnight. And on Sundays, we were open from 8:30 until 8 p.m. But unfortunately, because of COVID, we are restricted, and you'll be advised. And we are all hoping, of course, that we can soon return to more normal hours, and that you'll be able to use our space for studying and the like. So who are we? We're a small core staff of 9, the librarian in charge, and our information literacy librarian. We have 3 clerical assistants, 2 attendants, and 2 full-time cleaners. And then what does the library have for you? In terms of facilities, we have 3 reading rooms. We have a computer lab that was originally a 25-seater lab, but because of the restrictions for COVID, we have had to reduce the number of computer stations. So we are now down to 11. We have internet connectivity, including wireless, so you can use your own devices throughout the library. We have individual study carrels. We have 2 group study rooms, which despite the changes brought on by COVID, they are still available for group study, because of course, we do not encourage group study in the open reading rooms. And we have photocopiers and printers, and the equipment is able to do scanning as well. And we also have lockers because you're not allowed to take bags, large bags into the library, but we make our arrangement for you to leave your personal material in lockers. These are lockable lockers. You have the key for which you're responsible until you return it. You have the lockers for our loan. And in terms of material, we have electronic databases, e-books, e-journals, and printed material, of course, printed books and journals, which you can access within the library. But especially now, we are trying to push our electronic material, because so much more, first of all, much of your studying and learning will be from home. And so the textbooks, we have print copies of textbooks, some of the seminal textbooks, but they're also available in electronic form. And we have electronic format of journals, which you can access through our databases. Our information literacy librarian will speak a little bit more to how you can access our resources. There are some exam past papers online, and we have our West Indiana collection. That's just information on the West Indies by West Indian authors. Here in the medical library, and we have it throughout the library system. We have government publications, we have reference books. These are specific, subject-specific encyclopedias and dictionaries and so on. And we have theses. In terms of our core services, what we offer reference or research assistant, and we do this online and email and in person. So you may walk in, and we are going to be open for face-to-face service as of, I think, as of next week, and you'll be further advised. But we are also reminding you that there's online and email reference. There's an Ask a Librarian service, which Ms. Saunches will speak a little bit more to when she begins her part of the presentation. We also have information literacy training, which is equipping you to find the material you need. So we train you as to how to use the library's databases, how to know what the library has, and how to be able to borrow the material, in addition to how to find and access the things that we have electronically. We also do interlibrary loans. So if there's material that we don't have here at Mona, we can get this material from other libraries. That's other libraries within the UWI Mona family, from the other campuses, as well as from international libraries. So we borrow material from libraries in the US, usually in this southern part of the US, from the universities in the Florida area. Usually this is done primarily for academic, for postgraduates and academic staff, but of course for anybody who needs it, we can get the material borrowed. And thesis preparation consultation, again, this refers primarily to postgraduate students, but we do assist with preparation consultation, and we also, an important part of what we do is assessing the theses before they can be submitted, so towards the getting the degree. This is an introduction, well, the new UWI Mona's website, and then we'll also, Ms. Saunches will show you a little bit more about the library's website in a little while. So here we are at the library's webpage, and with that, I'll now turn over to Ms. Saunches, who will take you just an introduction. This is just to whet your appetites a little bit about how to access what we have, the resources and services, and how to get at what we have.
Okay, morning everyone. Again, my name is Elaine Saunches, and I'm the acting librarian on behalf of Ms. Faith McCoy Johnson. Now, this is telling you how to, when you go on the university's website, you can access the library from where you're seeing the purple arrow right here. So you click on this tab and it will take you straight to the library's website. And this is from the university's website. When you get there, you will click on resources and you will have some useful tutorials. They can also tell you how to get to different electronic databases and our different publications. It will also tell you how to get to our user interface, which is the UWI link. So you will use the tutorials and it will guide you so that you can have a better way of accessing our resources. I usually say to students that using UWI link is just like searching on Google. So if you're searching on Google and you're searching for, say you're searching for a phone, you just type in the type of phone that you need. It's the same thing with when you're searching for information. So here, if you're searching for diet therapy on Google, you get 302 million results. But when you're searching on UWI link, searching the same thing, you will get for peer-reviewed journals, you'll get 65,788, which is more defined. You wouldn't have this, a lot of things, information to go through. And then these are the different resources that you would find if you were searching for diet therapy. You would find 82,000 articles. We have one audiovisual, plus we also have book chapters and the different books on the particular subject. So I clicked on food therapy and medical diet therapy of traditional Chinese medicine. And this is an article that I found. Full text or e-content available, that's what it said. So I could click on it. I could send an email, send the email to myself. I could copy the citation. I can also print it, download it, I could put it on my flash drive or save it on my desktop. And this is what the article would look like after being downloaded. So as again, I can print it, I can upload it to my desktop, or I can send it to an email. These are some of our key databases: Medline, Caribbean Search, Credco, EBSCO, eLibrary, PubMed, ProQuest, Science Direct, and Virtual Health Library. And all of these are on our website. You can also send us an email if you're having challenges, as well as the tutorials are there to help guide you. The librarians are here also, and they will help guide you through your papers. Remember, contacting us is the difference between an A paper and a B paper, or just failing. This is another website, another database that you can search. This is Credco.
Can I just interrupt you for just a second, Ms. Saunches?
Yes.
The audience is saying that they're not seeing the screen. Are you sharing the screen, or are you just talking?
Hold on, let me ensure that I'm sharing the screen.
That they're not.
Jumped off. Yep, I'm sharing. Let's see. Are you seeing the screen now?
Yes, we've seen like yes, we've seen your whole desktop.
Okay.
We've seen your whole desktop here. Yeah. Yes, that's it. Excellent.
All right, so these, as I mentioned before, searching UWI link is just like searching on Google. This is where you have 302 million results. But when you're searching UWI link, it will be more defined. You will get less results. So more than likely, you will find an article quickly instead of going through a lot. All right. This is for, search for an article, which is Food Therapy and Medical Diet Therapy of Traditional Chinese Medicine. And I found this article. I can email it to myself, as I mentioned before. I can copy the citation, which you put in your at the end of your paper. I can save it on my flash drive. I can upload it to my desktop, and I can download it and print it. This is what the article would look like. And again, I can print it or email it to myself. These are some of the databases I had mentioned before. And these can be found on our website. This is Credco. This can be used. It will give you photos. It will also give you different articles for a lot of subject area. Another database. Information competencies for health professionals, proficiency in obtaining health information from the different databases from the internet, print and online indexes. Evaluating the quality of health information for appropriateness, coverage, and purpose and credibility. And effective application of health information. The library provides training in the following areas and more. Search in the health sciences literature, evaluating information sources, ethical use of information. And as I said before, we're here, we're open 24/7 online. You can send us an email, you can speak with us via our chat. Our WhatsApp number is also on our website. So I would usually say to persons to just go on the website, familiarize yourself. As I said before, it's the difference between getting an A paper, because this would, our resources would assist you much easier than going on Google, because they are more credible and they are peer reviewed. Health science information, what does it mean to you? The right information will equip you with the ability to make informed decision. So this concurs with what I said before. With wrong information, wrong decisions will be made with dire consequences. Effective preparation. Getting through your exam successfully and improving your knowledge base. So come to us and we will assist. That is why we're here. Successfully practicing medicine and conducting research to contribute to new knowledge and healthcare development. acknowledging that graduating from the UWI is not the end of the world. It's not the end of learning, but just the beginning of a lifelong learning process. Also, if you sign into your RVLE, it will also give you a bucket that has all the information that I mentioned before and more. All our databases, it will give you videos that you can sit and watch at your own leisure. You can make your own notes. And if you have any questions, you can just send us an email or a WhatsApp message. We will speak to you in real time. There's also the Kayaka where you can speak with a librarian on duty. It also gives you information on the foundation course, which is here. There's a video there that walks you through it. So even although we have the sessions and we teach you, something is on the website that can guide you if you miss something. We also have our library orientation 2021 coming up. You can go on our website. It is there to assist you. So ensure that you sign up so that you will get further information. We're under the banner this year, removing barriers, strengthening access. You can join us virtually on September 2 at 1 p.m. The meeting ID is listed here, but again, if you go on our website, if you go on our IG, if you go on our Twitter, and also our YouTube channel, we have all the information there, and you can access all of this information on our website. You can contact myself or Ms. Richards at the email listed on the screen or the phone number listed on the screen here. And we will be happy to assist with any questions that you have. If you have any questions now, I will check in the chat, but also the faculty can email your questions to us and we will answer you as soon as possible. Thank you very much. And again, we welcome you. You're now a proud Pelican. Continue to let that flag shine.
So thank you very much, Ms. Richards and Ms. Saunches from the Medical Library. For that very informative presentation. I should encourage people to make sure they try their best to attend the library orientation tomorrow. I see at 1 p.m. via Zoom or the YouTube channel, UWI YouTube channel. So that is something to give you more information and to build on what you heard today. I noticed in that presentation a slide marked plagiarism. It was a search mentioning plagiarism, which is a very serious issue. And please be careful about that because the university does apply penalties and disciplinary actions to people caught doing different levels of plagiarism. Okay, so be very careful. So thanks once again to the library staff who is here to assist you with all the resources that they have. Now we move on to placement and career services. Ms. Tanya Francis, who's the senior admin assistant, would mention all the help that you can get, because I must say that a lot of students come to us saying, what happens, can we find any jobs during our summer vacation, for example, or after graduation? And the UWI placement course is there to guide you and to help you accordingly. Very popular, Ms. Francis. I should tell you, it's a work and study program that students do. Sorry, work and travel, let's call it that. Work and travel program that they do overseas, and they claim that they can pay almost their entire fees from just working in the summer, you know, for the next year. So I await eagerly this presentation. Can you introduce a little bit more about yourself and go straight into it? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for inviting us. You know, medical sciences is always collaborating with placement and career services. And we are very happy for the invite and the collaboration over the years. A lot of times our medical sciences students are not aware of the offerings and the resources that placement and career services has to offer. And the misconception is that our services are only there for social sciences, humanities, FST, and the other faculties. But the truth of the matter is everything that we have to offer at placement and career services is also relevant to medical sciences and students in medical sciences. So just to sensitize you a little bit of what we have to offer so that you know we are there for you. to assist you throughout your stay at the university and to help you in terms of your transition. Just as the name suggests, placement and career services, we offer services in placement, job placement, and career development. And a lot of times our students ignore the career development aspect and not realize that the career development is what helps you to actually get the job. So in terms of career development services, we offer self-assessment. And this is just for you to confirm that this is the area that you want to go in. We have seen instances where medical sciences students are a little bit unsure and they make the switch to another faculty 3 years in. One of the things that we want you to do is to do the self-assessment and individual career counseling early so that you can confirm that this is the area that you want to go in, because a lot of times our career choices are based on our interests, our values, our skills and abilities. So we offer self-assessment, we offer individual career counseling, we offer job search seminars and workshops, such as resume clinics, interview skills, labor market needs, and we offer other things, what employers are expecting for UWI graduates. Because coming to the University of the West Indies, you need to leave as a holistic graduate. You are not just to focus only on the academic, but try to be as well-rounded as possible. Build on some of your weaknesses, as I saw UWI STAT doing our presentation earlier. And that is a very good area to go in terms of clubs and societies and associations that will make you well-rounded. We offer job placement programs. We offer part-time employment, summer employment, and internships. And we facilitate the overseas work and travel agencies, which is very important. And what you find is we help the overseas work and travel agents to come on the campus, recruit, tell you what they have to offer. And a lot of times they offer programs outside of the summer, so they also offer internships. These overseas work and travel agencies are very good. They're good to go on your resume as well, because it highlights that you are able to adapt to a different culture. You're able to get some work experience. Because in any field, an employer just wants to know that you had some sort of interaction or experience in the world of work. And the overseas work and travel agency program is a good one. Another thing that is important to note is JAMVAT, and this is highly used by medical science students. What JAMVAT does, it pays a third of your school fee on completion of 200 voluntary hours. What we do in that instance is we try to help you in finding a location to complete these 200 hours. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult for medical sciences to find locations to complete their hours. So we are there as the liaison for JAMVAT in assisting you in finding your location and getting things done quickly. When you go through us, the process is a little bit less tedious and they work well with us. We assist with mock interviews. We have a job fair that we have for all faculties. We invite every faculty to come to the job fair and interact with the different employers that are across the board, from medical sciences to law to science and technology. And this is just a snapshot of all the programs that we have to offer. But we encourage you to utilize the resources that we have to offer to you. And this is helping you to transition to the world of work, to sharpen your job search skills, and to sharpen your job search tools that you may use when you're venturing out into the world of work. Because we are important, you will realize that a lot of things that we have to offer will apply to you, especially in honing your skills and transitioning. What we will do, we are available on our website through live support, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. What we'll do is we will put our contact information in the YouTube chat so that you'll be able to access it there instead of repeating it here and then you forget. So thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing more medical sciences students by the office utilizing the services by placement and career services. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That was a very interesting and informative presentation from the Placement and Career Services from Ms. Francis. Again, I would advise you guys to get down there at the earliest opportunity. Plan in advance. Remember, all these work and travel programs on, they have deadlines and forms to fill out and things like that. So get going early on these things. So thanks again. There, as I keep saying, we are here to serve you and to advise you, and we have the Placement and Career Services ready and willing to do that. So thanks again. Now, let me move on now to the presentation from the Students' Loan Bureau. At this point, we don't have anybody from GATE in Trinidad. I'm not sure if Barbados, what is the equivalent in Barbados, but what I'm mentioning, Student Loan Bureau in Jamaica and GATE in Trinidad, is financing again, right back to the issue of financing, getting those fees paid, making sure the loans are disbursed on time, and so forth. So let me welcome and introduce Mr. Shamoy Wright, who is a customer service agent for the Students' Loan Bureau. Welcome, and please give a brief introduction. He's going to talk about, can you please give a brief introduction about yourself and then the functions of the Students' Loan Bureau. So welcome again.
Well, morning. Thank you for having me. Again, as we said before, let me apologize before I go ahead. For my screen, you won't be seeing me this morning. I'm actually presenting from my desktop, which doesn't have a camera right now. Right, so apologies for not being able to show my face this morning. Again, Mr. Shamoy Wright, who, as we said, is a customer representative here at the Students' Loan Bureau, only 24 to begin with, a student of the Jamaica Theological Seminary, would have been a part of the SLB family for approximately 2 years and 8 months now. I'm working to help with financing higher education to see how best we can get students equipped for the future that they have set out for themselves. And that pretty much covers it in my time here with the SLB. And without further ado, I'm gonna ask you, Mr. Singh, if I could get some assistance with sharing my screen.
Shamoy, you see at the bottom there of the Zoom a green button marked share screen.
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Share screen and proceed along those lines. Right.
You can see my screen, right?
Now. Yes. Yes, we're seeing it now. Thank you.
Right, there you go. All right. So I primarily have 2 presentations this morning. It's not gonna be long. I say 2 because I'm gonna break it so that you guys can get a better understanding, I should say, of the 2 programs that we're really gonna be dealing with. Right. So this one is really gonna deal with the targeted loan facility. And the second is going to deal with the pay-as-you-study loan. So what do we do? So the Students' Loan Bureau, as you well know, provides funding to Jamaican nationals pursuing tertiary level education needing assistance with financing their tuition. We always say that 99% of the students who apply to the SLB for financing are successful. That 1% really does fall among those who would provide false information when they're doing their application, but outside of that, the majority of who applies to the SLB is normally successful with their application. Right, and like I said, we're going to be examining these 2 products today. So this first presentation is going to deal with number 1, that's the targeted or undergraduate loan, and presentation number 2 is going to deal with the PAYS or the pay-as-you-study loan. All right, so let's jump on into it. The targeted loan facility. Right, so we cater to applicants pursuing undergraduate studies. So for you first-time applicants coming in to your medical studies at the University of the West Indies, this market really goes out to you guys. even if you're returning, you're not required to repay your loan until after you would have completed your course of study. And Miss Hastings Edwards would have gone ahead and spoken to the repayment time after you would have completed your studies, which was 6 months, but it has now been increased to 14 months actually. So you do have average to moderate amount of time after you complete studying to start repaying. We do offer 100% tuition funding for your course. When I say that, what I really mean is that we offer up to $1 million for your course. In the event that your course does go over $1 million, there is an option that exists, and we'll talk about that one a little later on. For the loan tenure under the targeted loan account, it's 15 years. 20 years is for those persons like yourselves who are doing medical sciences, nursing, and or law. Right. On average, on an island-wide basis, we offer our loans in the moratorium phase. This is the in-school period whilst you're studying, at 7.8% interest per annum. And when you start repaying your loan, it's 9.5% at that particular time. All right, so just a little more. So this is that it begins the September following the time that you would complete your course of study. So for instance, the default graduation date would be June 31st of whatever year it is that you're graduating. September of the following year is when you would be required. Normally, it would have been December, January of the new year, but we added that additional 8 months to give you some time so that you can go ahead and prepare to begin your repayment. As I said earlier, you do get access up to $1 million. 2 guarantors are normally required, but with the change that's been instituted by the Ministry of Education, you now need only 1 guarantor to sign on the account for you to access the targeted loan facility. If you can't find 1 guarantor that can stand on the account by themselves, you can use 2, but you're required to have only 1. Your application period is normally mid-February to May. This year, however, because of the COVID-19 implications that we've had, it's been pushed back. The deadline was actually yesterday. If you have not yet applied, I do believe that we'll be having some extensions going on because there was a small error in the system. Persons were not able to submit their application on time. So I do believe that you'll be getting a brief extension to facilitate submitting applications that has not yet come in. Right, and the website that you're seeing there, www.slbja.com, that's the website that you would access to go ahead and submit your application online so that you'll be able to start the process for accessing the loan for the 2021-2022 academic year. Right, the grants, as was also mentioned or dealt with by Miss Hastings Edwards, is something that we do often. She would have given you already the criterias for accessing the grant. It's, as we said, approved from a system perspective in terms of automatic selection, but those that have not been approved, you can write, and her instruction or recommendation to submit that letter to their financial assistance team is a really good option. I would encourage those of you who are in need of the grant to ensure that you follow through with that, because that additional $50,000 is non-refundable, not required to be repaid, and it can come in handy because we know that there is a lot that needs to be done to facilitate the smooth accommodation for the year. All right, so I'm going to skip the pay-as-you-study loan in this facility. I do have some more details on it. I'm running into the new presentation, so I'm not going to put that much time on it right here. All right, so running into how we apply for a student loan, visit the website that was provided earlier. On that website link, you will have to register using your TRN and your email address, creating a password to begin your application. Once you get onto the system after you register, it will take you to a new link where you'll be able to see on your left hand side of your screen a number of green icons. One is going to be saying apply, appointment to loan status documents. You'll be seeing upload and a number of different icons there. You're going to hit the apply online that will take you directly into the online application. It's a 12-page electronic application. You don't need to print it. You'll be able to edit it online and go ahead and do your submission. Each of the headings, they carry a particular tag. So like you're seeing here, how to apply, each of them has a tag there or to give you some idea as to what you'll be required to input under each of the sections. So you should be able to do it without much hassle, right? Once you've submitted that application, you'll receive a prompt that it has been applied. And what's happening now is that we're sending to you a pre-approved email once it is that your application is received in the system and has gone over into the evaluation database, right? Normally, you're required to set an appointment, but again, because of how we've been affected by the COVID-19 virus, we are unable to facilitate those face-to-face interviews. So what's the workaround for now is that once you go ahead and submit your application and it's been evaluated and you receive the email with the documents, you're required to print those documents, sign them, have your guarantors sign. You come into the office and you use a drop-off facility that's located at the door of the first floor when you come in. So you don't have to be in a long line or be bundling up with anyone to ensure your safety remains intact. So as it says there, you submit your required documents in office, make the payment of the fees. You can pay your fees here in our office over the cashier. If you don't want to do that because sometimes it can be backed up, you can pay it at a Paymaster Bill Express, or if you have any of the online banking platforms, that's NCB or Scotia, you can use one of those mediums to make your payment, of course, using your TRN as your account number so that we can track that payment and have it properly attached to your account. So for those of you who are applying for the first time, there's really two set of documents that you will need to submit. The first is what we call the required documents for first-time applicants. The second set, which I would have been mentioning in the pre-approved email, would be the loan contract documents. So for your required documents as a first-time applicant, this listing gives you that breakdown in terms of some of the things that you'll need. You'll see the others as we go on. Your TRN, one certified passport size photograph, student ID card is also required. That's if you have it. If you don't, then it's fine. The passport size photo will suffice. For those of you who are on PATH or have a member in your household that's registered under the PATH scheme, you're required to submit that because you do receive a benefit as a member on PATH or have a household member being on PATH. Banking information comes in the form of a bank statement that's required to be submitted by you. We ask for that information primarily for the grant because we no longer use the cash cards that go to the school or send your disbursements to the post office. It's become a hassle and a lot of persons are not able to get it. So we are now moving directly into using the bank accounts that will facilitate a direct transfer into your account so you can have access to the funds almost immediately. That's depending on the type of bank that you use. Or valid the photo identification comes in the form of your passport, your driver's license, or your national ID. This must come in along with the certified passport size photo. Of course, any of these documents outside of the photograph that you copy, they must be certified by a justice of the peace. Right? The other documents, if you're living in a household where there's any employed member in the household, you'll be required to submit their employment details either in the form of payslips, that's the last 3 payslips, or in the form of a job letter. Your acceptance letter, of course, is mandatory. to be submitted. Unconditional approval, meaning that you must be fully accepted in order for you to receive funding from the Student Loan Bureau. We do not fund conditional approval. All right. For those of you who are returning to school for your second year, but it's your first time at the SLB, your transcript would be required in that instance. And again, you would sign your loan contract documents thereafter, take everything in together, and they will be processed, and you'll be informed as to where you are in the process or when you become complete, and you'll know what you need to do. All right. So we often like to say that, or it's often said, let me put it that way, that it can be a hassle when it comes to the Student Loan Bureau. And many people will say that they don't receive anything, or they don't see a reason why they would want to take a loan from the SLB. But these are some of the many advantages that exist when you access a student loan. So firstly, we have one of the lowest interest rates that's recorded island-wide here in Jamaica, and it is 6% per annum. That's when you use the pay-as-you-study loan, and it can be as low as 4% under the targeted loan. And I'm going to tell you how you can get to 4%. Right? You have an extended loan tenure that is 10 to 20 years to complete your course of study and to repay your loan. Whilst you're in school, again, this was mentioned by Miss Hastings Edwards, that when you're in school, you're not required to be in repayment until you would have completed your course of study. One clarification there is that only applies to this loan, the targeted loan. When it is the pay-as-you-study, as the loan suggests, you pay the loan whilst you're studying. The grant, which was mentioned before, we offer grant, and for taking a student loan, unlike if you're going through a bank or some private financial institution, you don't need any collateral in order to access a student loan. All you really need is to submit your application, have a guarantor to verify that they'll be willing to stand on the account for you and repay in the event that you cannot, and then that's all that you need. Also, we do offer some concessions. So I did mention before that if you're on PATH, it would be good to submit that PATH stub or card. What you gain is 35% reduction in your processing fee. It's a standard $5,250. When you take 35% from that, I think you are left with 3,200 plus. I'm not sure what the exact figure is, but you do get a 35% reduction in the processing fee. For those of you whose parents are employed in the public sector, you get a percentage reduction in your interest rate when you begin to repay. If you remember from earlier screens, the interest rate is 9.5% when you're repaying. 1% from that leaves you with 8.5. When you get to the next screen, I'm going to show you or you can go lower than 8.5. And also for applicants whose parents are employed to the public sector, you get a 35% reduction in your processing fee also. Now, for those of you who access the JAMVAT, which was also mentioned, you will only receive 70% of funding from the student loan, as with the JAMVAT, it covers 30% of your tuition fee. All right, so this is something that we would have recently instituted to help applicants with their repayment. And it's something that we call good standing. In other words, the SLB gives back. So you benefit from a 2% reduction in the interest rate in the different ways that you see listed there. So those of you who are in school now or entering into school now at UWI, we know that you guys are big on producing scholars. If you maintain a GPA of 2.5 and over, when you get to repayment, you will benefit from a 2% reduction in your interest rate. That would take you to about 7.5. And if you're a child of a public sector worker, that's 6.5 because you would have gotten a percentage there already. When you're repaying, if you maintain an account, that's 30 days current, or it's no longer than 30 days in past payments, you benefit. Once the evaluation period comes around and you're still within that 30 days, you benefit from another 2% there, and that would take you to about 4.5. And if when you leave school, you decide that you want to go into a charity to work for at least 1 year, you must be permanently employed to that charity for at least a year. You benefit from another 2%. So it can go 4, it can go lower than 4, depending on which of these criteria you meet. So you do have a lot to look forward to when you come to the SLB to access a loan. Right, and that really covers it concerning this particular presentation and the targeted loan facility. It's not hard, it's really easy to access, and as you saw, there are a number of benefits that you can gain when you come to the SLB to use the facilities. This, of course, is how you can contact us. You can use our WhatsApp medium, you can use the Facebook platform, Instagram, of course, Twitter, as well as our email platform, which is info@slbja.com. You can access any of these mediums to make contact to the SLB. Our phone number is listed on the page there, so you can also call to access information outside of the department. I did say that I had a second presentation that I wanted to share. It's just about 7 pages. It's not going to be really long. It's to deal with the targeted loan, not the targeted loan, pardon me, the pay-as-you-study loan, to give you an option for other alternative in terms of accessing a student loan. All right, so we would have gone through what we do already. So for the postgraduate loan, or this is for persons who are doing master's program. I'm not sure if we have anyone like that on the line. Mr. Singh, could you let me know?
Basically, it's the undergraduate, incoming undergraduate students who, are being targeted in this presentation. Not so much masters and PhD.
Okay, no problem. All right, so what happens with the postgraduate, it is very similar to the pay-as-you-study. There are not that many differences that exist within these two loans, right? But for the pay-as-you-study loan, what you do is that you're able to access both the pay-as-you-study along with the targeted loan. So for those of you whose courses are going to run beyond the $1 million, and you're going to need, say for instance, $1.5 million to cover for the academic year, you can apply to the SLB for up to $1 million for your course. And what you could do is have your parent or family member apply for that additional $500,000 under the pay-as-you-study. That facility, as I said, is similar to this one in the event that you can access up to $1 million or $2 million, right? Your interest rate here is not 9.5, but actually 6% right across the board. You don't have a moratorium phase, you have a repayment phase, because the moment the monies are disbursed to the school to you, then you would be required to start repaying the loan. Under the pay-as-you-study loan, you have 7 years to completely repay that loan. And this one, like the postgraduate, is also done via salary deduction order. Or credit check is mandatory for your guarantor. If you are employed, you can sign as your principal borrower, but you will also need to have a guarantor, or you can have a separate principal borrower along with a guarantor in order to access the pay-as-you-study loan. So in short, there we go. So one principal borrower is required and they must be paying by salary deduction order. One guarantor is also required. You're required to complete a credit checks, and your monthly payments, they are rather affordable. Because say for instance, you access up to $1 million, you can look at anywhere between 10 to 12 or 15 maximum for monthly payment. It can be less depending on what the calculations will look like. Right. So how to apply for the loan? It's almost the same, but it is the same for the pay-as-you-study and the postgraduate. That information that you're seeing on the screen, for those of you who have pen and paper, you can take those two emails. Those are the two personals that are gonna be required to provide you with the assistance that you need for pay-as-you-study loans. So you visit your website as per normal. After you submit your application, you're required to take in your documents. For this loan, however, you will be required to do a face-to-face interview, as we must do the relevant steps in terms of making sure that you're able to afford the loan in terms of repayment, or the principal borrower that's signing the loan for you is able to repay this loan. And these documents can only be signed in a face-to-face setting. So Ms. Higgins, that's Karina Higgins, and Ms. Kimoya Green are the two personnel that you would make contact with concerning the pay-as-you-study loan. And in short, that would cover the two facilities that you would really need to access as medical students from the university entering or coming out, to help with your funding and financing for your tuition for your academic years. And that's it for me.
Mr. Wright, I want to thank you very much from the SLB for that very useful presentation, which basically is, I'll put it this way: the SLB interest rates are much lower than the commercial banks. So you really, parents and guardians and students, you really need to look into the SLB in a serious way. I know you need guarantors and other people like that, but still, I advise you to at least check them out and see what they're saying. Now, Mr. Wright, if you're still there, I just want to say there's some questions in the chat that, is it possible you could just answer them?
Yeah, I see them. I'm gonna go ahead and give some responses.
All right, go ahead and give your responses.
No problem. Or Mr. Singh, so what I'm going to do is to just type my responses so you can continue with your program.
All right. So the responses would be typed. So please look into the chat and see the respective responses. Now, our final presentation would have been Dr. Carmeneta Jones. Is Dr. Carmeneta Jones? I'm not sure if she's here. Can you just identify and say, yes, I'm here? Who was going to talk about FUNG 1014, Critical Reading and Writing in Science and Technology and Medicine. As you're aware, the university stipulates you must do 3 foundation courses or their equivalent. These are compulsory courses before you can graduate. They've amended it this year to say that you must pass, let me repeat that, you must pass FUNG 1014, which is Critical Reading and Writing, in the first year before you can advance into years 2 and 3. In former years, we had people actually still in year 3 trying to pass this course, and they were able to advance. But now I think the regulations have changed. Please check that out. And just want to know if she is there or a representative from Linguistics, in the Department of Language, Linguistics, and Philosophy. Just unmute and say, I'm here, or I'm representing. No, I'm not hearing from that person. So I'm just going to wrap up now today's orientation, the third day of the general orientation session. Remind you that on Thursday and Friday, you have the different programs, which would, MBBS, BB Medicine Friday, DDS on Thursday and Friday, nursing, and so on and so forth. The program coordinators, a team from each of these departments and so on would come and speak to you on what is expected, and they will do their own specific orientation. Now, Dr. Garbutt, let me thank everybody who's been here to acknowledge the backup team at Master Control. We have Dr. Damien Brown, Mr. Damien Brown, who's the head of the IT section here within the Faculty of Medical Sciences, who was very instrumental in setting up and guiding us through the process. I want to thank Dr. Andrea Garbutt, who is the Deputy Dean for Graduate Studies, ably assisted by Ms. Andrea Henry from the Dean's Office, and today Ms. Charlotte Brown has also been assisting. So they have been the backbone, let me say, for these 3 days, monitoring everything and overviewing. From time to time, I saw Dr. Thea Jones, the chairman of the orientation committee. You see him again as a program director for the dentistry. I noticed Ms. Carol Rose has been here for a long time from SMART. So thanks for being here throughout the entire presentation. Andrea Nelson, there are other people I can't kind of name everyone, but thank you very much. Thanks especially to the incoming students who've attended this presentation from all over the territories, Bahamas, Trinidad. I don't want to name all of them in case I forgot something. So thank you to all overseas students, the Jamaican students. Dr. Garbutt has asked me to remind you that we are encouraging students to come to Mona Aging. And please remind them that anyone can go to their nearest government sites of vaccinations. So although we ask you to come to the Mona Aging, please note that you can go to your nearest government sites for your vaccination. At this point, I just ask Dr. Garbutt, the Deputy Dean, if she would like to say anything to wrap up today's orientation. Okay. I would therefore like to thank everyone for attending today and to wish you all the well. Keep safe and get your vaccination done this afternoon as quickly, as urgently as possible. So thanks once again. God bless you all. Remember, students, as you go through the university, we're dealing with information and knowledge. I know that is expensive, but you pray for knowledge, for understanding, to be able to understand that knowledge. And finally, the most important thing is wisdom. Pray for wisdom to be able to interpret and apply that knowledge in your field, whether it be medicine, nursing, dentistry, radiation therapy, physical therapy, basic medical sciences. Okay, so God bless you all and have a good and productive day. Thank you once again. Bye.